at the moment, I think the market's watching the cases rise, but the deaths fall. And I think half of the investors think it's a divergence that's only temporary because they think deaths will start to soar. And then the other half thinks it's a persistent divergence. And I think once that's resolved, the market is going to really start to reflect that. It's kind of our belief that it's a sustained downtrend because, there's better healthcare preparedness and the cases are much younger people. And if that's true, then we're already sort of much further along in coming out of this COVID crisis. The US, handled this very differently than Europe and Asia because the lockdowns weren't as extensive.
Thomas, you're also talking about how investors right now are more cyclically tilted. Are they looking at the more badgered names, the more cyclically oriented stories, industrials, the old economy stocks from a value perspective, hunting for bargain buys there?
I think that's where they realize there's opportunity. I would say that the preference for investors still is to stick with FANG and tech because these have been working. They've also grown during this crisis, so they're kind of, surprising winners. But they also act as bond proxies. So I think that to the extent money is reluctantly coming out of cash, it's really going into FANG. But I think the opportunity, especially if cases are peaking and if we get a healthcare solution, is on the cyclically oriented stuff.
Thomas, if you're an investor that wants to look outside of equities, perhaps into some alternatives even, I know you've been quite bullish on Bitcoin in the past. Is this a play you still like?
Yeah. I think Bitcoin is still a very durable way for investors to find uncorrelated exposure to alternative assets. Gold is one that is quite popular, but Bitcoin, I think, is truly a diversified way to be, having exposure to a non-fiat based system. If you don't trust central banks, or if you're worried about inflation or the consequences of all the monetary policy. We still like Bitcoin. It hasn't performed as well as we expected during this crisis, but it tends to be a risk-on asset in this earlier stage of its sort of adoption. And so I think if the S&P makes a new high, I think Bitcoin's going to make a new high.